Hi everyone, it's Jill from Jilly Bean Studio. I hope you're well, and if you have some time today, grab your supplies. I would love if you journal with me. Today I am working on a weekly spread and an accordion book background. Now I am pretty far along in the spread, and on the left-hand side, I'm gathering some more supplies. And I thought I would take you along in this process because on the left-hand side, I did writing that we sometimes do in a journal that I didn't want to share too much with others necessarily. I call it note to self. But I still wanted it in my journal. And maybe this is a tip for you when you have those times where you want to write something. In this case, I was thinking some things through, but then I didn't want it to be the writing to be prominent on the page. Some people call that hidden journaling. Then a fun way to do that is to layer and collage over it. So I've done that with a lot of different scraps. And then on the right-hand side, I have already written down some things that have happened in the week, but decided to finish up with a fun soup bowl doodle. So I hope you can join in. There it is, the beginning of it. And grab your journal or your supplies and have some journaling or crafting time too. All right, so on the top side of the right-hand page, I've sketched a little soup bowl and decided that I would I'm going in a little bit with the eraser just to get my sketch marks out. I would use the Stabilo pencils, and they activate well with water. This one is a turquoise color. And I have a lot of that going on on the page, so I thought that would be a good background color. And then I'm going in also with the Stabilo red because the soup that we had this week didn't make it, was from Costco, was chicken tortilla soup, was very good. And so that I'm going to put it on the top. And I think it's a fun way to document your week, rather, I want to say, with a variety of things that you do across the week, everyday things. And I am in a cold climate. Winter is in full swing here, so soup is definitely a great meal during the week. So that was a lot of fun to draw, and I'm going to give that a little bit of drying time and go over on the left-hand side now with the white gel pen. I know you can hardly see this, but the emptiness of that yellow scrapbook piece of paper was calling to me. And I find doodling and illustrating so relaxing, so I just did that. I also have this cheesecloth and a lot of scraps left over from Junk Journal January hanging out on my desk. So I'm looking to use those up in this creative journal, which, by the way, if I didn't mention, it's a Hobonichi day free. They are undated pages. There are calendar pages in the front if you choose to use them. I sometimes do. And throughout the week, I like to keep notes in it, add a little bit of collage and scraps, and then I sort of finish it up at the end of the week. Now, here's a problem. I am not being patient enough. I said I should let it dry, and even though these microns are waterproof, it's not good to doodle on a wet surface. It's better to doodle when it's dry, and if something hits it when it's wet, it's not that big of a problem. But so I'm causing myself a little bit of an issue. I discover it really there because that was a wet spot. So I have to take a break again, and instead I'm going to go up and do the lettering for a week in review. So how are you doing? How is your journaling going? I hope that you find it relaxing and joyful. Are you a person who likes to journal every day? I find I call myself a regular journaler. I often leave my journals open. There we go, it's dry, thank goodness. My journals open on my art table and add to a page like I did. I often start a page on camera, but I decided this week, why not let you see that I had already added quite a bit because I had another opportunity to journal a day or two ago, get those thoughts and feelings down, and then now a couple days later finish up the spread. So I think whatever works best for you, you got to find your own journal process and practice and find what makes you happy. All right, now that this is dry, I'm adding a few more doodle flowers. There's a close-up. I do not own a bowl that looks like this, but I thought it would be sweet to add a few flower doodles. I like to go in multiple times and add a little shading and dimension to the shape. All right, I think that's just about done. And yes, I usually write like the week in review or any lettering. Most often I go in and pencil first. So it's nice to have the rubber erasers, the soft, I think that's what they're called. I got them at an art store, and they just do such a nice job erasing any of your stray lines and sketch lines on the page. So, chicken tortilla soup. On the bottom of the page, I also have a little bit about Groundhog's Day. In our area, it's something that it's always on the local news, and in the region, I guess, I don't know. I guess the most famous groundhog is Puxatawny Phil. And I wanted to note that he saw his shadow this year, 6 more weeks of winter. Just what we all want to hear. Some of us are really, speaking for myself, ready for the warm up, but that was a lot of fun. All right. So the week in review, some creative journaling, some hidden documenting covered up there. And now I'm moving on to an accordion journal, a small one that I started during Junk Journal January. And my thought was to put in some words and phrases and quotes, just some fun things for the beginning of 2022. I've already started on one side with a little bit of watercolor, some doodles of leaves, and some acrylic gold ink, and this Delusions Periwinkle Blue spray. There's the acrylic ink. Actually, it's not that fancy in terms of the number of supplies. That's basically it. I started to watercolor on the background. You'll see a little purplish, but when I do the other side this session, I'm not going to do that. I don't think it's needed. And oh yeah, these little bits and pieces are really what inspired the colors from some old book pages. And I keep those in a box top on the side on a little table in my art space. And that way, when I find something that I want to add to the book, I just toss it in that box lid. It is small enough to do that. And this was made out of a strip of acrylic paper because, no, I'm sorry, that is not acrylic paper at all. That is watercolor paper. Excuse me, it's acrylic ink. And the watercolor paper is a little bit brittle, I found, so that's why you saw the washi tape there to make sure that it doesn't crack. All right. Getting myself set up now. I can be a little wild with the overspray. And this is from another project. You can get actually really cool effects on your paper towels and also on book pages. So I thought before I go in full steam here, I would put some paper towels down, put some old book pages that I could use either in this accordion book or in another project. And that's a rock from the beach. Comes in very handy because, again, the watercolor paper is it can be very stiff. And because this is watercolor paper, I'm going to give it a little bit of a soaking. There we go. The actual strip is 2 feet long, so 24 inches, and it's 4 3/4 inches in height. Okay, let's be brave. Trying not to overspray too much. There we go. A gentle spritz. Not too bad. I know I could put it in a larger box too if I needed to. And you may also consider gloves. I thought with a little spritz I would be okay. And it seems I am. And now I'm taking a little bit of water, spreading out the Delusions ink. I found this really relaxing, and I hope that you are enjoying whatever journaling or crafting you're doing right now. I hope you are playing with whatever supplies you love. I think in journaling for me, the whole experimenting is one of the great joys. All right, a bit of a close-up there. I love how the spray has a little purplish coming through. And I don't know really why, if that's from the other side of the paper when I wet it, or if it's the reaction in the Delusions ink. I'll take it either way. This is a complete experiment. All right, and on this side, there are actually 8 panels. On the other side, 8 white panels. On the other side, there are 6 because the cover panels were from that side. I hope that makes sense. And so I'm going to go now with the 2 end panels still need the Delusions ink for their background. So a little shifting and adjusting. Yeah, so that's 8 panels on this side. So what are you experimenting with lately? Have you tried something new? I think sometimes in the new year 2022, we make more of those goals for ourselves sometimes, and I do love to play with mixed media. All right, I'm gonna make sure that dries, and I gave it a little bit of drying time off camera. And now I'm gonna go back, and while it still finishes up drying, because I had that issue with the soup bowl earlier of going in a little bit too soon with that micron, I am gonna, I think, work on the back cover for a couple minutes. So I'm gonna take some of that book page and put that on the back with art glitter glue. I think I've mentioned this supply before. It is a little pricier as glues go, in my opinion, but it's also lasted longer than a lot of glues that I've had before. So I think it has its value. And there's a little bit of embossed scraps that I've just had kicking around in my scrap bins. So I ink those up a little bit too. I think it's nice to have a variety of papers. And by the way, that background paper is some more scraps that I had from another journal project. It's a pretty handmade paper that I got at a local art store. We're lucky we have a Jerry's Artorama near us, and I'm pretty sure I got that there. Okay, so now back to some more living dangerously here. I'm gonna spray a little on the cover here, my spritz method, and try there. Ooh, try not to go too terribly wrong. Okay, I think I'm all right. Yeah. So I wanted enough to make the covers in the background obviously cohesive in some way, and I think that's a good start. All right, more drying time. As journalers, we need patience with drying time, and I am not that patient sometimes. I would say that's something I have to work on. All right, now this is very pretty. I have this acrylic ink. It's called, the actual color is called Iridescent Bright Gold. I think I did get that also from the art store as well. But honestly, I think I don't own that many inks. So if you pick a color to try, like a gold or a silver, maybe a metallic, it might be one of those supplies that you could add to your stash. And now I've had a delightful surprise, although I suppose it shouldn't be that much of a surprise when you think of color blending. But as it happened, I was like, oh, there's that beautiful bits of green that just kind of popped in there. Okay, so I let it dry some more and added a little bit more of the Signo white gel pen. And here's a close-up of the cover. Thank you so much to all subscribers. I really appreciate you. I hope you are all doing well and enjoying your journaling. And thank you so much for watching.